Hello, my name's The Jordan, and I've finished my analysis of the Pokemon I believe will dominate VGC draft leagues in 2023. Between now and the last episode of my Draftables analysis series, the first official VGC tournament format came out, and these Paradox Mons are banned. Probably a healthy decision. Many of the new Pokemon simply could not compete with them, but the more adventurous draft leagues will jump right in and include the Paradox Mons, and some others will wait the 3 or 6 months until they're in the official format. But either way, I'm pretty confident in my analysis, and I'm ready to show it off. I just think it's really fun to theory craft and think about some of these mons, which will be an incredible force when they are in Draft League. If you like this kind of analytical content, leave a like below. Y'all showed up in force the last one. I really do appreciate it, so let's keep it going. Let's do it. Can you tell I've had my coffee this morning? Okay, so some of these top mons that I want to showcase, these top Paradox mons, they all have a general theme, which is hyper offense. Hyper offense is a phrase used to describe an overall play style. It's often overused, and how I'm going to define it here is a playstyle in which you keep up the pressure from turn 1 and try to never let go. You force the game into a situation where it is kill or be killed, and you build your team so that it is faster and stronger than your opponents. When you're faster and stronger, you don't need to defend yourself, and so your defensive stat becomes way less important. Terrestrialization, the key new mechanic of Gen 9, is going to form a nice new X factor, a new way to boost your stats further than people might think is possible. So that's going to be helpful for hyper offense. And the first hyper offense Paradox Mon that's going to be an absolute wrecker in VGC Draft League is Great Tusk. Look at those stats. Look at those beautiful stats. It's not only the stats, but it's what you use with them. And Great Tusk not only has an excellent offensive stat, but it has incredibly strong, high base power moves, close combat. Love close combat, 120 base power. It also has its own nearly unique move, Headlong Rush, which is ground type close combat. Ground and fighting are some of the best moves for hitting Mon super effectively. And he's got both of them. He's got stab on both of them, and he's got an incredible attack stat to use them with. So really, really excellent. Basically anything Great Tusk wants dead can die, especially depending on how you invest and boost this guy's offense. Not only that, some of his coverage moves are really high base power as well. Head Smash, 150 base power. Heavy Slam, because this guy is so thick, often is 120 base power move. Mega Horn, 120 base power move. And then some of these key coverage, this guy didn't need to have any coverage, right? Just his stabs and like rock would have been totally fine, but it gets fairy, it gets ice, it gets knockoff, it gets some elemental punches and fangs. It's really, really strong and incredibly versatile. And there's virtually nothing that resists all these moves, and there's virtually no mon that can really stall out against a mon as oppressive and powerful as Great Tusk. So how do you build around this mon? Like, this is a mon so strong that you want to build your team so that it maximizes Great Tusk's chance to hit things, to smack things. And so part of that is speed control. You need to go first. This guy has a fine speed stat, but it's definitely not going first on its own a lot of the time. So Talonflame, priority Tailwind. It's one of the only ways to get priority speed control. There's like Murkrow and a couple other weirder ways, but Talonflame's amazing for Great Tusk because it can gift that double speed. It's also immune to Earthquake, so you can smack 2 opposing mons as opposed to just 1. It can also provide very fast Sunny Day. As with the last analysis of Paradox Mons, this mon gets boosted in the sun, so it really wants that attack boost in the sun. Another great support is kind of a different kind of speed control. Oranguru is an excellent Trick Room setter in this Gen 9 format. It's also immune to Earthquakes when it has the telepathy ability, so you can set Trick Room and make this guy really slow. It's not very slow, I think its speed stat's fine, but if you keep that mix-up open, if you've got the way to win in fast mode or slow mode, you're definitely going to be faster in one of those modes, so it's nice to have both options. Oranguru also has its unique move Instruct, which I love, and 2 Great Tusk attacks. 2 mons are probably dead. The final support, which really supports the hyper-offensive mode, Great Tusk included, is Klefki. The Prankster Screen's going to be very important. This guy's weakness is its special defense. It's not super bad, considering that high HP stat. It's bulkier than 1/3 of fully evolved Pokemon in this format, but it's definitely that's how you're going to target it. How opponents are going to try to beat it is with the Hydro Pumps and the Hurricanes. But if you can set up a light screen, this guy's doing a lot better. This guy can also, by the way, be immune to ground moves if he uses the Magnet Rise ability. So I want to jump right into sample sets. I believe the best way to make this guy go fast is to bring its own speed control, right? This is an excellent speed tier. Well, it's not great, but it's an excellent speed tier for scarfing because you're within that 50% boost of being faster than the deadliest Pokemon in the format, right? Need I say more? This guy, Iron Bundle. It can be Dragapult if you go the speed boosting nature, but even without the speed boosting nature, you're passing like 98% of the Pokemon without boosts of their own. So then you're just throwing off that headlong rush, that close combat, and then if you're really fast, Rock Slide flinches, not bad. If you're really fast, hitting 2 mons at once, can't complain about that. Sometimes, though, this mon is so important that any good Draft League opposition is going to be targeting and have multiple moves that try to OHKO Great Tusk. So you can set up your screen so that they don't OHKO, but if you're not in that position, just the ability to survive any one move is so good for a Pokemon that does so much with one attack. Especially the downside. There is a downside to close combat and to headlong rush is dropping your defenses. You can only go to 1 HP, right? They can only go so low. So it's totally fine. It's not even a downside if you're just running Focus Sash. So 2 shots. You should be able to get 2 shots, and that means 2 KOs or 2 nearly KOs with Great Tusk. So Focus Sash can be good. And it also allows you to invest in your speed. You can go bulkier. Definitely is a usable bulk stat. Very high physical defense. So if you're piling on the snarls, the light screens to try to protect yourself from special attacks, this guy can live to throw out multiple hits, use some of its lovely coverage, booster energy as the unique item for Paradox Mons of immediately getting, in this case, a 30% attack boost. Very, very nice. And this is a mon that with Tailwind is still faster than whatever you need it to be. Finally, if you want to go bulky, you can go bulky. You need to expand the range of things Great Tusk can do so that you don't become predictable. Very, very strong body press. The strongest body press that I know of, except for Zamazenta, which is a restricted Pokemon, which does not exist in Draft League. So this is a very strong body press, and that way you're immune to Intimidate. If you can just throw on body press as coverage in a way, because in case you get intimidated and your attack is dropped, you still have very strong stab body presses. And then Fighting Nice, lovely combination. Bulk up to boost both your attacking moves and your defensive attacking moves, i.e. body press. So that's how I think you should build Great Tusk. Alongside, where are my guys? These guys, this guy's going to be incredible. Build around this mon. On a scale of 1 to 11, this guy is a 10, maybe even 11. This is one of the top 10 Pokemon in the entire format with Paradox Mons and the Dark Legendaries included. Next, the other one, the other Donphan. This is very interesting because it's like not hyper offense to the insane degree this guy is, where it's just so strong. It's got the 120 base power moves. The futuristic Donphan instead does not have Headlong Rush. It's not a fighting type. It doesn't even have close combat. So it's in effect hitting a lot less hard than its cousin Great Tusk. Stomping Tantrum is 60% less strong than Headlong Rush. Now it doesn't carry a downside, but like you can't play this guy pure hyper offense. You have to play this guy flexibly. What instead Iron Treads has going for it is a excellent speed stat. 106 is faster than 85% of the fully evolved Pokemon in this format, in the Gen 9 regional format. And it's got a Steel type, which means it grants it a lot of flexibility. Steel type's one of the best, if not the best, defensive typing. So you're using your coverage here. It's not, especially because you don't have those amazing stabs to lean on, you're sometimes going to want to go for the Ice move, the Bug move, and the Stone Edge or the Rock Slide. In this case, we likely want to use Iron Head because this guy's actually not as heavy. You don't even need to memorize the weight stats. It's a stupid mechanic anyway, but you just need to jump it into the calculator every once in a while against the opponents that you're going to be fighting. If Heavy Slam does more, you use Heavy Slam, but otherwise Iron Head's good because this guy's usually going first and flinch chances are good. This is a mon that gets boosted in electric terrain, so if you give it support, it can set its own electric terrain. Then Wild Charge is its third stab move. The boost is likely going to go to speed. You know, it has 2 higher stats, but if you can get 50% faster speed, especially on a mon that can make use of that speed, you want to do that whenever possible. So you'll see my first sample set is booster energy, booster energy. This is a mon that can more flexibly play bulky. It can iron defense body press. It's not nearly as strong even at body presses as Great Tusk, but it has more leeway to do this. You basically never want to be interesting with Great Tusk. It just has such excellent offense that there's no reason that you really need to click Taunt, but the extra bulk and the better defensive typing gives Iron Treads a little bit more flexibility to click Bulldoze, to click Scary Face, and it's off a better speed stat, so it can gift speed control to itself and its partner. So, the better bulk, why not bulk it out even further? This is still a mon whose weakness is special defense, so if you give it the Assault Vest, then you have excellent overall bulk, and you have the space to run 4 different attacks. Like, not only do you want both stabs, you often want a rock coverage. It's very good for hitting flying types. Knockoff, always useful, and then Bulldoze or something like that. This is a mon that Assault Vest can make the difference between beating and not beating several really good Pokemon. Like the Pokemon that would beat it, but don't quite have the juice when it's got an Assault Vest. Now you've got 2 shots, and you can usually steamroll your way through a lot of Pokemon with 2 strong hits. Even the notorious Flutter main, if you were on the ladder these past few weeks, Flutter main is so dominant. But any mon that's not hitting you stab super effectively, a special attacker, is just not going to be able to OHKO Iron Treads when it's got the Assault Vest. So now you have the ability to OHKO all those fast frail Pokemon. You don't have that immediate hyper offense, but you have the ability to respond with enough offense to live the hit, OHKO in return. My other sample sets for Iron Treads. Hit hard. Hit fast, hit hard. This is so fast with the booster energy 50% speed boost. Where are we at? Like, I gotta do math on the spot. 250. It was faster than Scarf Charizard. It's faster than the majority of Pokemon with a Scarf. So really, really excellent. Assault Vest, as we showed. More room to run that Iron Defense Body Press to play a longer game, an end game, to bring this guy in from the back. Moringa Berry gives it a special defense boost, which is kind of nice. Once you're hit by a special attack, so it gives you more space to invest in your special defense and be bulky on both sides of the ball. You can even support yourself. Set your Electric Terrain, Healing Berry to give yourself more longevity, and then now you've got effectively 3 strong stab moves. Finally, if you really want to be a Great Tusk, but Great Tusk was drafted the second in the overall draft, you grab yourself an Iron Treads and give it boosting items. The booster energy, the choice band. This guy is very strong. In the season where lots of fire types and lots of electric types are coming, a strong ground type is going to be so valuable. This counts. It's not Great Tusk. I'm not going to rate it as highly as Great Tusk, but very, very good. I'm rating this guy an 8 on a scale of 1 to 11. In the previous episode, I went in on how disappointing I thought Iron Thorns is, this T-Tar variant, but this shows you the key, being so much faster. It's such an important stat. That speed is an all or nothing stat here, and so being able to outspeed a lot more Pokemon turn 1, not just turn 2 after you've Dragon Danced or set Tailwind or something, very, very important. Rock type I thought was such a problem for Iron Thorns, but for Iron Treads, the ground type is a very, very good type. Get Iron Thorns, do be draftable. That's all I got to say. So next we're going to talk about a different Pokemon. This is the only of the 14 new excellent Paradox Mons entering. Only one is really a dedicated support, and that's Screamtail. That's the weirdo name of the Jigglypuff variant that's basically like Cresselia, if you remember, one of the core defensive Pokemon of many past formats. This is the bulkiest Trick Room setter in the entire regional decks. This is not only that, it's a Trick Room setter, and it's got the bulk to always set Trick Room when it wants to, but it's also incredibly fast, which puts it in a very unique niche. Very bulky and very fast. Typically, it's either fast and hits hard, or lives a hit and hits hard, but very, very surprising to have like a bulky, fast, supportive Mon here. But I think Game Freak knew what they were doing when designing this Pokemon. There were so many ways this could have been a broken, ridiculous Pokemon, and they didn't give it all of the moves that would have made it completely insane, like Life Dew. If they gave it Ally Switch, it would have been incredibly annoying. They took great pains to not give this guy super annoying moves. Instead, it's got a lot of different moves that are for different niche scenarios. It's going to be very tricky to use. This is not going to be a beginner type Mon, but I still think it has incredible potential. So any Mon that's got Trick Room and Bulk, that's an important part of its moveset. This Mon can set Trick Room, it can stop Trick Room from happening, it can set those screens and protect your hyper offensive Mons, Helping Hand to boost your offensive Mons. What's funny about this is that this is like a dedicated support Mon, but this is one of the best complements to the hyper offensive playstyle I think I've seen in a long time. Fast screens means your hyper offensive Mons can live a hit, which means they get 2 big shots. Helping Hand means your things that might not OHKO are almost certainly OHKOing. Howl, boosting for both yourself. In the long run, you can make this very unimpressive attack stat semi-meaningful with Howl, but you can also make your partner immediately powerful. Like, if they gave this guy a better sleep move, it would be so annoying. But Sing is healthy. Well, it's an unhealthy move, but it's better that they just gave it Sing. Still good 55% of the time. This is a Mon that can do fast speed control. T-Wave, Scary Face, don't forget its fast end capabilities. It can boost your special attackers immediately with Fake Tears. If you try to protect in front of this guy or try to set up in front of it, the fast Encore is devastating. We have the attacks. We don't have the attack stat. But either way, sometimes your D-Gleams are going to be useful as offensive material. Sometimes your Psychic Fangs are going to be useful. This move breaks screens. Sometimes Boom Burst, why not? But you do have the long-term scaling potential with moves like Calm Mind and Bulk Up. So you present your opponent with an immediate threat next to Screamtail, and then you present Screamtail as a long-term threat. It's either making the partner devastating, or it's making itself a problem, and it puts the opponent in a really tough position, which I think is the hallmark of hyper offense, is putting the pressure on from the beginning. Starting with the classic Trick Room support set, you're very good at setting Trick Room with all this bulk. That's your main job, but from there you try to make yourself useful in different ways. You can set screens. You're definitely not going to be the immediate Trick Room abuser. You want to have a Trick Room sweeper next to this guy, but you can gifted attack boost with Howl. If you clicked Howl 2 or 3 times, even Screamtail is actually a good offensive threat. So Psychic Fangs, a good one attacking move to have, and Howl is a good Trick Room support move. Mental Herb is the most important item on Screamtail because it's got lots that it could be doing, but most of that is shut down by Taunt. So you want to make sure to get at least one status move in. And if you're using this guy with speed control, which is frequently an option for you, then you should be able to get the second move in before the Taunt. So you set Sunny Day. If you have booster energy, which is entirely reasonable, then you're immediately faster than the entire unboosted metagame. It's a very fast Mon. And so if you click Sunny Day, you're actually gifting yourself that 50% boost, and then you are a very fast support Mon. You can gift T-Waves to do speed control for anyone else, Fake Tears to do damage boosting for yourself or your partner, and then when you're setting Sun, you might as well go Fire Blast. Like Fire Terra, Fire Blast with Fake Tears in Sun, you're actually enabling yourself and your partner at the same time. I think it's like a pretty effective set. Parasong might actually work, especially when you're running this guy with hyper offensive threats. You take 2 KOs, you click Parasong, and you've won the game, right? Because everybody dies and the last Mon to die wins. And so because you have the bulk to live through the Parasong and to set Trick Room, you're always going last either in or outside of Trick Room, so you should have control of the game from that point. Or fast support moves. I think you're gonna need to really mix up how you use this guy as I'm going first, or I'm slowing down the game so that it doesn't matter who's going first. Baton Pass can work. You see all these defensive terras here, like Steel, Fire, Poison. You give yourself a lot of time to set up something like Calm Mind, and you pose a conundrum for your opponent. Do I attack the more immediately imposing threat, like a Weavile? Do I try to ignore the Screamtail, but it's getting to be a bigger problem with each turn that it sticks around. It keeps buying itself more turns, especially if it uses Terrestrialization. When it clicks Sub, it becomes even more of a problem, and by the time they've realized it's a threat, you're actually surprisingly fast, and you can sneak out with a Baton Pass faster than they might expect. So then you've gifted special attack boost, special defense boost, and or a sub to a more immediately opposing threat. You probably have won the game. This is a win con right here if you play craftily. Finally, Imprison Trick Room, right? This is a speed control mon. This is a mon that sets Trick Room, stops Trick Room, tries to make itself useful. Helping Hand's always good when you're not sure what else to do. Okay, back to PowerPoint, my safe space. Screamtail I view as a centerpiece build around mon. Like Great Tusk, but in a very different way. You get this guy like early, like round 3 when people have just started to think about supports, and then you grab lots of strong attackers. And that's like a whole game plan in itself, because the strong attackers mitigate Screamtail's fundamental weakness to taunt. The strong attackers increase the pace of the game so that opponents don't have time to taunt Screamtail, or they're getting smacked by Garchomp or Volcarona, and it gives space for the Screamtail to click screens, to click Howl, to support those offensive mons. So I think it is a whole game plan. I think it's really good in a format that doesn't have stuff like Whimsicott, that doesn't have Porygon 2, it doesn't have the best ever supports. This is one of the best supports, if not the best support in the format. So I think there's upside at this guy, even at the cost of 7. I think this can be an early draft pit, and I think this is going to be very, very effective. Our last analysis, I bet a lot of you saw this coming because Flutter Main beat up everyone on the ladder in the first few weeks. The choice spec set, just go burr, an unstoppable wrecking ball. But I intend to argue that Flutter Main has a lot of gifts that make it uniquely strong in Draft League. It will be the #1 mon in the VGC 2023 Draft League format, will be incredible even when the all-time greats come back into the game in Cinnamoroar, Orlando. This guy is unbelievable in Draft League. Let's get into it. 135 special attack, 135 speed. Incredibly fast, incredibly strong, and some of the best stabs ever. Moonblast. So very few mons resist Fairy. Very few mons resist Ghost, and you just look at that stab combination, 2 mons in all of 1,000 mons resist that combination. It's Pyroar and Little Pyroar, and those aren't even good Pokemon. Like, these are the perfect coverage, and with such a great power and speed, it's just unbelievable. You add in Mystical Fire, and you're hitting over half the mons super effectively, just in that trio. Add in what you totally don't need, but you have anyway, is the coverage to hit things 4x. You destroy every water ground type with a energy ball. It didn't need Power Gem, but now you beat every Charizard and you beat every Volcarona with a really excellent coverage move in Power Gem. Add in the fact you already can beat everything. You can hit every mon in existence very hard, but you got these variety moves that are so important in Draft League. Icy Wind off of a 98th percentile speed stat means you're giving speed control to any partner you want. You're breaking sashes, you're dealing spread damage, you're single-handedly beating all of those mons that are doubly weak to ice. Like, Lando just disappears in front of Icy Wind, a strong Icy Wind, so very, very useful. Mystical Fire is good damage from a Flutter Main, but it's also a special attack drop, so supporting the team that way. Sunny Day boosts itself, photosynthesis ability, boosting the fire types, helping the team. It's doing great things on its own, and it's helping the team. Trick Room, so useful. It's a good Trick Room setter? Of course not. It's super frail on the defensive side, but the key mix-up with Flutter Main is it carrying a sash or is it not? So you can always live one hit when you're carrying the sash, and it has such amazing offensive pressure that people protect in front of it, people switch, people set screens, and then you just get that surprise. Often you're reversing the Trick Room so that you're back to going burr with your super fast Flutter Main, but a very high impact move and just a nice thing to have as part of your arsenal. Charm means your one weakness is being weak to physical moves, you can mitigate that. You can support the team, support yourself with a very fast halving of their physical attack stat. T-Wave for more annoyance and speed control. Taunt to stop Tailwind. Perish Song for an X factor. There's just so much that you wouldn't expect that it doesn't need, but it's got and it can make use of in Draft League. Fluttermane has one clear weakness, which is the horrible physical bulk, 6th percentile, but it has multiple ways of addressing it and multiple mix-ups. So the thing about little numbers is you add 30 points of defensive investment, it actually makes a huge difference. It's like 40% bulkier. So all the mons that are coming to try to beat the Fluttermane, to try to take it out in one hit, the best physical attackers with a life orb can do it even without super effective coverage, but they can't do it when you use your stat investments wisely. All of a sudden, the life orb Gyarados is never OHKOing. All of a sudden, a choice banded Gyarados or a Dragon Dance Gyarados cannot KO the Fluttermane. And so if you use Charm, maybe, then now you can live 2 hits off the Gyarados. You can be using Icy Wind and having your partner deal with their partner. You can be Moonblasting everything, and you even have space for Protect. In Draft League, you might just see they have one Fairy Resist, and you're like, well, fine, I'll just use one attack move, and then my other 3 slots are free. So you have the flexibility to just use Shadow Ball, just use Moonblast, and have other slots. That leads me right into the sample sets, my last sample sets, and I only have a few because it's all you need. This guy's incredible mix-ups. That defensive investment to beat the Gyarados, you still have the points to outspeed max speed Weavile, like 95% of Pokemon, and you can run the booster energy so that you're 50% faster than that. You are unscarfable, unstoppable, and you don't even need to run the Scarf. You got the versatility as well. You can sub. If you can annoy people and make people trade with Fluttermane for a couple of turns, you opened up a lot of options for yourself. The key mix-up is Sash or no Sash, because it can either kill you or you try to kill it and it's sashed anyway. So Moonblast, you sometimes just need one move to hit everything. Trick Room, Imprison Trick Room, sometimes it's just reversing the Trick Room. But what's cool is you imprison, you're gonna live with the Sash. You protect to live again. You might be able to be immune to a move with normal. If they throw out the Ghost move, then you Terra Normal. You have a couple of mix-ups to live a few turns, which means you're reliably winning in fast mode. You're imprisoning Protect, so Hyper Offense, go, 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 Moonblast everything, because they can't even protect on you. So you have those mix-ups. And lastly, the Sun Destroyer, Sunny Day, boosts your speed, or sometimes you don't even need speed as your highest stat to be the fastest thing on the field, so you can boost your offense. You can effectively have a Stab Mystical Fire. You can have a Power Gem to beat all their Firemons attempting to use the Sun. You are a Destroyer in Sun. And that gives us flexibility to run items like Babiri Berry, pretty nice. Why, though? Because we have all the mix-ups against all these mons, attempt to beat it, Focus Sash. Some things you can beat when you're prepared for them. One of the few things that beats Fluttermane, let's get back to PowerPoint, is priority moves, right? Can't outspeed priority, but with those investments, you can live basically any priority move. Your job as the Fluttermane is to see, okay, there's one Shadow Sneak and one Sucker Punch, and I just need that many points to live them, right? I can live most of those weak little priority moves, and then you're so strong against these frail support mons that you might be able to OHKO them 2 times over. Like, Fairy Berry won't even save Sableye from the massive Moonblast. So you're gonna check there's not that much Bullet Punch in the format. There's a little bit more Shadow Sneak, but you can usually live it. Just check the few things that you can't live, and those weeks you run Focus Sash. You can even mitigate the one weakness. I'm saying it's one weakness is priority moves, because you can also draft Serena or Fergaraf or Bruxis. They all have an ability that blocks priority moves, and even when it's not on the field, the threat of it makes it hard to click priority moves. Quick Guard, also a tool to block priority moves. Mitigate its weaknesses. It's so difficult just to beat Fluttermane, but it's got a partner, and the partner can intimidate and give it effectively more physical bulk. Better priority. Give it one turn with Fake Out or Redirection or Prankster Screens or something like that. it's just going to be so reliably good when you have various tools to protect it. It's just going to be a guess every time. Like, this is getting to be so good that I think we might want to be considering banning it, depending on your league and how it runs. This is top of the list. This is beyond the top of the list. You better make people pay up for this guy if it's going to be draft legal, because it's just incredible. And that leads me to my final discussion topic. Should the Paradox Mons and the new Dark Legendaries, for that matter, be allowed in our draft league formats that we're all going to be making in the next year? I think it's a maybe. It depends on your draft. If it's a relatively unrestricted draft, like the High Roller draft, where people can get 11 good Mons on their roster, I don't think these Paradox Mons are that much better than the Garchomps and the Volcaronas of the world and the other top tiers that we've gotten used to. So I think they can all generally jumble into a healthy format. But if you have a reduced power level and your league likes forcing people to use mid tiers and low tiers and having them shine in a way they never would on ladder, then I'm not sure that Doc Bun and Belly Bolt should be in the same format as Flutter Main, Roaring Moon, Iron Valiant. I think that's a decision that you should make, and that's my final point, is I think we should all embrace that we make custom formats, and that's the way of Draft League, is by definition a custom format. When you say that only one person can have a Torkoal, we should make decisions and make the game as fun as we can. There's lots of different ways to play this game, and Pokemon has started to pay attention to balancing more. They're not perfect, and even if they were perfect, they can't balance for all the different ways that we play this game, and so we should make decisions. And in a league-by-league basis, do you want to have the Paradox Mons in? Up thumb, down thumb. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Do you want to have some of the Paradox Mons? I would be fine with just banning Brute Bonnet and Amoonguss. Personally, I don't think they're overpowered, but I just don't think anybody has fun getting spored to death. So, I think we should embrace the fact that we are a grassroots variant of the game that we all loved and played as kids. So we should play it the way that's fun for us. In any format, though, no matter what format you devise, if Flutter Main is in it, it's gonna be freaking good. See you soon.